Hey y'all, it's your friend D, and in this video we are back to working on the bank for the village. And I've already sketched out a design for this, and I'm using a leftover gift box that I had, and I just took the size of it apart. And I was going to use paperboard for this project anyway, so I just went ahead and just sketched my design on this instead of using some graph paper. And I want to be completely honest with you guys. I'm not too sure about my design because it's just not working out the way I wanted to. I see it in my head, but I didn't really know how to transfer that onto the paper design. So I will be tweaking this as I go along. And because of that, I'm not going to be able to give you all of the measurements right off. But as I go along, I will try to give you as many measurements as I possibly can. So let's just get into this. To start with, I'm going to have to cut this box down some. My design actually ends right here on this line. So I'm going to cut this top portion off. So I've cut off the top portion of my box and I'm going to turn it this way so you guys can get a... Okay, that was my tambourine that was falling. Yes. Don't ask me why that's underneath my craft table, but yeah, it's there. So I'm hoping that this one piece can be the front and the sides of the counter. And the places where I have the X's, I'm going to cut those out, and those are going to be windows. Now, I did leave this bottom flap on, and you can cut that off if you want to, but I'm going to leave mine on to use as part of the floor. And for now, I'm just going to tuck that under. And that leaves me with a piece that is 16.5 inches across and 15 inches top to bottom. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out my windows right now. I have my windows cut out, and I did take some measurements for you guys. From the very top to the top of the windows is 2.5 inches. And the two outer windows are slightly smaller, and they are 5.5 by 3 inches. The two windows in the middle are 5.5 by 3 3/4 inches. And that was just a design choice for me. You can make all of your windows match in size. That was just something I personally wanted for mine, was for the outer ones to be a little bit smaller. So I want this area of the bank to actually be a booth like you would see in older banks. So I needed to score the paperboard. I did not want to cut all the way through. So I just used my X-Acto knife and I scored down this line I had drawn. And I just came in 4 inches from this side and 4 inches from this side. And that's where I drew my lines. So now that it's scored, I can fold my sides over like this, and my tellers will be inside of the booth. So now that I have that done, and I wanted to do that now because once I start adding things onto this, I wasn't sure if I would be able to go back and make that cut. So I've been going back and forth on which wood piece I want to use. So I have these and I have these dowel rods. I think I'm going to go with these. So one would go here in the center. Then I would have one here. And maybe not on the sides. So definitely on the front. So I have one there, there, and here. I have the one in the center glued into place, but for the ones that I'm going to have on the side of the front of the booth, I'm going to go ahead and fold that over. That way I know I'm only gluing it to the front, and I just have to be careful not to get this back part here. Now I'm going to take some more paperboard, and I cut these into a 1/2 inch thick strips, and these are going to fit in here and just make a square inside here, and I might have to double these up, so I might have to do 2 layers of these to get the thickness that I'm looking for. So I have all of my extra pieces of paperboard on. They are the darker colored ones, and I have them down here. Now I'm going to add on some stickers. I have these from the Dollar Tree. I bought these about a year ago, but I think they still have them in the store. And I only have these 2 packs, and I think I'm going to take the top one here out of each pack and put them in this section. I had to turn it upside down so I could have a better view of what I wanted. I'm going to try to get this centered. So guys, at this point in the video, it has actually been a while since I worked on this project. I took a break about a week to work on some things around the house with my husband and to go and visit family. And when we came back, I just was not excited about this project anymore. And if I'm not excited about it, I'm not going to work on it. So I set it aside, and it's been about a month and a half. But I'm back working on this, and I think what I was doing was I started to overthink this project. So I'm just going to go back to my original design that I had in my head and just trust the process on this. I think I left off where I was putting these stickers on. So I did go and buy 2 more packs because these packs only come with 1 of these stickers. And I'm going to put these on the ends. So guys, I was applying the new stickers and I realized something. Here you can see some holes, and the pieces have already been cut out in the factory. Here, this one is stuck in, so I thought I'll just get my little tool and poke that one out. But when I turned it over, I noticed that there's all these other little sections that are pre-cut, and I can poke those out. I think that'll give me more dimension. I'll also have to go back on these that I've already placed down and see if I can get some of those out. So this one is the one where I've punched out all the little cutouts and I've left them in this one. And I think this one is going to give me more of the effect that I'm looking for. So now I need to try to pry these back up. Well, they come up pretty easily. I may have to add some glue to the back of them to make them stick again. But I'm going to go and punch all of these out. So I have my stickers in place, and I did have to add a little bit of glue on the ones I had to lift up. Now I'm going to flip this over and work on the back side. Since I only used 1 layer of paperboard, this can be a little flimsy in places. So I'm going to add some of my scrap foam board to help with that. And I'm going to do it in sections. So at the top, since these sides are going to bend, I'm going to add 1 piece in the center and then 1 piece on each side at the top. And at the bottom, I'm going to do the same thing. So 1 piece for the center here and then 1 piece on each side. And I left the tab at the bottom of the box that I used, and I just cut where I'm going to fold up the sides. And I'm going to use these tabs just to help keep the sides up, and I can glue the floor in place. So I think I'm going to glue the floor down first, and then I'll work on the side walls. So I have the floor glued on and my 2 pieces for the middle, the top and the bottom here. So I can flip this up, and I decided to wait to glue these tabs on just so I could place these a little easier. So now all I have to do is flip the side up, glue that tab down, and I can still get in to glue my side walls. So I'm going to do this side now. So I have this side done, and I've glued the tab down on this side. Now I just have to put in the foam board here. And I'm just going to turn this on the side and glue these into place. So my booth can stand up now, and I did decide to add some foam board here. And that was because this paperboard was starting to bow out, and I kind of expected that since it was only one layer. And I want to add some more foam board in these corners, but I'm going to wait until I get my counter in. I did leave a quarter of an inch between the bottom of the window and the top of this foam board, and that's where my counter is going to sit. So the counter will go in like this. I'll glue it in place, and I'll probably put some extra foam board underneath it as a support, and then I'll glue in my foam board in these two corners. Here's the booth so far, and I think it's looking really good. This center beam is a little crooked, but I'm not too worried about it. It's not bothering me enough to want to try and take it off. And I am going to still have to put the windows in, and there will be a back wall that will go on later because I do need to get inside of here and paint, and I just think it'll be easier without that back wall on. And with the painting, instead of using my usual black paint and Mod Podge mixture as a base coat, I am going to use a new product. One of you guys suggested I use gesso, and I found this one at my local Walmart. This was the only one my store had, and I did go to Michael's, and the ones that they had was really overpriced. So I decided to go with this one. I have noticed that some of my favorite YouTubers like Bentley House Minis, Queen City Minis, and EDT, they do use gesso, and I'm just not familiar with using it myself, so I'm a little nervous about this, but I do want to give it a try, and if it ends up not working, I'll just make this project over. And this wall does lean out a little bit as well as this one, so I have to figure out a way to prop these into place while the gesso is drying. So it's been about 2 hours since I applied the gesso, and this does say quick drying. There are some areas where you can see a little bit of the paperboard showing through, and I'm not going to put a second layer on it. I think it'll be okay because it's just thinner than the area next to it, so I think it'll still be protected once I paint. And there is a little bit of cracking with the gesso around the stickers, but I'm hoping that it'll be okay. While I was waiting for the gesso to dry, I did mix together some paint. I wanted a caramel color for my base, so I'm going to apply this over the entire booth. While my first coat of paint is drying on the booth, I've been playing around with this scrap piece of foam. I put the caramel brown on first, and on this side, I played around with mixing these two colors of brown to get a wood effect, and I think it's working out pretty good. So I'm going to do the other side, and this is kind of a chocolate brown that I'm using right now. And I thought I was going to have to change my brush, use different kinds of brushes, but I think just keeping the same brush will be okay. Maybe just a little bit more of that brown. I still want the caramel brown underneath to show through. And I'm not going to switch brushes right now. I'm just going to dab some of that off. Going with the darker brown. That might have been a little bit too much. See if I can blend it out. Yeah, I think that'll work. I'm still seeing the first color. I finished painting the booth, and I do like this technique. I'll probably do it again on a future project just so I can keep practicing at it, but it does look like wood. I cut another piece of foam board for the back wall of the booth, and originally I was going to paint this to look like wood also, but I think now I want a little bit of contrast, so I'm going to use this green scrapbook paper, and I'm just going to cover it up with that. I'm almost ready to start putting everything together, but I decided I wanted one side of the booth to be the door. It's not going to open, but I just want to give the illusion that that is the side that the dolls go in and out of the booth on. and I made these door plates and door knobs using paperboard and foam. So this one I've already painted. Oops. I covered the entire thing with some gesso, and after that dried, I went over the entire thing with some gold paint and then dry brushed on some brown and black paint. And you can see there is a little black paint for the keyhole. So I kept this one unpainted so you can see how I actually put this together. The doorknob plate is just two pieces of paperboard, and I didn't want it to be a regular rectangle, so I did try to carve a little bit of a shape to it. So just like this one, just make it look a little bit more ornate. And I think once it's painted, this one will look a lot better. And the doorknob is just two little pieces of foam board. So there's the actual knob here, and then there's a little piece underneath. And I just carved this out of some leftover foam board I had and removed the paper off of the top of it. And to give the plate a little bit of decoration or make it a little more ornate, I used some of those leftover sticker pieces that I had from this sticker that I put on the booth already. So I just kept all these little pieces, and that's what I used. So I'll get this one painted, and then I'll move on to the next step. Here's the finished booth, and as you can see, two dolls can fit inside of it. A Ken doll fits easily. You can actually fit two Ken dolls in here and still have room. I think I achieved the look that I was going for. I wanted this bank to look like it still had some of the original furniture from when the bank first opened, maybe in the early 1900s. I just used some plastic for the windows, and here where I made the cutout, this is just some paperboard that I painted silver. In the future, when I'm filming in the bank, I know these doorknobs will not be seen, but I still think it's a good addition to this, and there is one on the inside. I did finally settle on a name for the village, and it's going to be called Pine Valley. And you can't see it right now, but the bank is the Pine Valley Bank. To get the dolls in and out of the booth, I just left the very top of it open. I think the bank is coming along very well. So far, we have the teller booth, the safety deposit boxes, and the front and back of the vault door. I still have a few more pieces to make for the bank before I start putting everything together, but let me know what you think about this teller booth. That's all I have for you today, my friends. As always, if you have any questions about anything in this video, please leave it in the comments below. I will try my best to answer your questions. And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. I'll see you next time, my friends. Bye-bye.